President Trump's executive order targeting social media is under scrutiny. Legal experts questioning whether or not the president is overstepping his constitutional authority by, for example, targeting Twitter. Here to break it all down is founding and managing partner of Berenzweig Leonard, Seth Berenzweig. Seth, good to see you. Do you think the president is out of bounds, or does he have a legitimate legal gripe?
Well, I think the president certainly has the understandable position and right to express his frustration with the world of social media. And it was really a big week here in Washington on that front. The president teed up a historic executive order, and he was unquestionably aiming it at Silicon Valley. Specifically, what he's trying to do is to order an aspect of his executive team here in Washington to develop regulations to blast a hole through the legal armor that has been protecting big social media since the mid-90s. Specifically, it's called Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. And the bottom line is that it basically says that these big companies cannot be deemed liable for content that it allows up on their public billboard. And they have ridden that legal protection and exception to riches, which brings us to what happened this week. There's been a lot of controversy online with the president and Twitter. He has launched this out, and he's trying to blast a new hole into that legal armor and that protection, which really marks a major legal historic event for the business of social media in America.
Yeah, do you think he'll be successful? I mean, look, some people argue that the Twitter and Facebook and these social media sites, they're like the phone company or the public utility. The phone company is not responsible for what people say on the telephone. Others say they're like a publisher and should be held to the same, libelous, slander, defamation type standards that the news media or others are.
That's right, and I think that you've really nailed the precise debate that's really in public right now that the president has teed up. I think that we really have to look at this through two lenses, the legal lens and the business lens. Legally, I think the president has a bit of an uphill battle on his hands. It is difficult for the executive branch to arguably change or expand the different elements or exceptions of a law that Congress legislated under the Communications Decency Act. That really raises a constitutional separation of powers issue. Also, when the feds come in and start to get involved in regulating or impacting political speech, that also, of course, implicates the First Amendment. But look, let's look at it from a practical and a business standpoint. Now we have Twitter basically deeming itself to be the online digital new sheriff in town that's pulling over the president for problematic tweets. And while I recognize some of his tweets are controversial, let's take a look and see whether they're applying it in a level and fair fashion. You can point, for example, to numerous accounts that are emanating out of Iran, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the supreme ruler of Iran, saying death to America, death to Israel, for example, after we took out Soleimani. Does that raise questions with regard to violence and accuracy? So I think that Twitter really needs to decide what it wants to be when it grows up.